Russia will be free, opposition politician Vladimir Kara-Murza said after he was sentenced to 25 years in prison. He was found guilty under articles on treason, fakes about the Russian army, and participation in an undesirable organization. But even for murder in Russia, you can get a shorter sentence.
It's unlikely that this maximum could be assigned if following the letter of the law to Vladimir, who is the father of 3 children, which is mitigating circumstance. This maximum gives the impression that if more could be appointed, more would be appointed.
More is the death penalty, which was recently discussed in the Russian State Duma. Deputy Andrei Kolesnik, in a comment for Russian media, proposed lifting the moratorium on the death penalty and making it a punishment for treason. Experts are sure that this is quite real in today's Russia.
The authorities are now like a drug addict who increases the dose. The current dose does not work and it is necessary to play for an increase. It is necessary to increase it in order to produce an effect. From here, all sorts of initiatives to toughen punishments for which they used to give from 12 to 20 years. Let's give a life sentence and then also the death penalty. The Constitutional Court may issue a new decision in which it may agree that in the current conditions the death penalty as an exceptional measure can be applied. As it were, it's simple, every organ is built into a system that breeds fear.
But even without the death penalty, the Kremlin has enough tools to terrorize its own citizens. In 2022, the courts in Russia fined citizens more than 151 million rubles under protocols on discrediting the army of the Russian Federation, Mediazona writes. 14 people were convicted for military fakes, and another person involved in such a case was sent for compulsory treatment in a psychiatric clinic, Network Freedom reports, citing data from the Supreme Court of the Russian Federation. This year, the situation has not improved. Any disagreement with the Kremlin's policy in Russia is punished.
Taking this opportunity, I can't pass by. I tried to drive away this case, I don't know, I couldn't. Everything else turned out for some reason, but this case of Masha Moskалёва hurt me for some reason.
Маши Москалёвой почему-то не отпускает меня никак.
This statement was made by the vocalist of the Russian group Naiv, Alexander Ivanov, at a concert in Moscow. But after mentioning the scandalous case of a girl who drew an anti-war drawing last year, for which her father is now being judged, the group concert in Perm was cancelled, and their concert in St. Petersburg was postponed for a year. Kazan resident Gulya Muhamedjanova was fined 30,000 rubles for discrediting the army. Such, according to the police and the court, was the poster "Stop the Dumb Silence." On April 17th, the Novosibirsk Regional Court upheld a fine of 70,000 rubles to the former head of the Union of Ukrainians of Siberia, Sergei Ivashchenko. In December last year, he was found guilty under an article about calls to violate the territorial integrity of Russia on the internet. For tweets, Siberia must throw off the shackles of shameful colonial dependence on Moscow. Experts argue that the Kremlin's policy of repression is aimed not only at intimidating its own people, but also at diverting attention from internal problems.
The image of the enemy is constantly created. The more this image of the enemy is created, the more they may want to publicly take the life of some painted enemy. It may seem to them that in this way they can scare the population, and that for some part of the population, unfortunately, this can be patriotic reception.
And to achieve a similar effect, the Kremlin will intensify the policy of repression within Russia. Reported by Roman Smoler, Angelika Brushnevska, UATV News.